Hey, viewers, how are you today? Brian Watts here, ready to start the show. Come together today. We will be speaking with Carlin Alford, great friend of mine. I'd love to introduce him to you. So come on back. Right after the opening, we will be speaking with Carlin Alford. This is the greatest game of telephone that has ever been played. Someone said the black man doesn't raise his kids or care for his family, and that message is still being told to everyone today. They even have us saying, "We are not a monolith. We have various opinions and thoughts. We are much more than what we are portrayed to be by the media. Even when we are the victims of injustice, we are still portrayed as the perpetrators. When it comes to the black man, there is an intentional plan to discredit the past, arrest the present, and destroy the future. Something must be done, but nothing will work until we come together." Viewers, how you doing today? We are here today with Carlin Alford, the owner of Alfco Wireless, and also just a great friend of mine. I'm really happy to have him here today. So we're just gonna continue. Carlin, how's it going, man?
Man, it's going great, man. Just grinding it out one day at a time.
I feel you. Well, look, we're gonna get right to it. I want the viewers to know a little bit more about you before we get into some of our conversation. So let them know what it is you got going on. You might tell them what Alfco Wireless is and just break down what your lifestyle is right now.
Sure. I'm president. Well, I'm owner, operator. I like to say principal of my own company called Alfco Wireless Consulting. We're based out of Nashville, Tennessee. And basically what we do is we help any type of organization get connected and stay connected to the cloud, whether that's via the internet or telephony, meaning via the telephone.
Oh, that sounds good, man. I'm sure a lot of people could use that. So I'm hoping viewers, if you need that, we will get Carlin's information at the end of the show so you can get with Alfco Wireless and get your business online. That's a real important thing. Have you found that during the pandemic that a lot more people were getting in touch with you, or well, how did that go?
Yeah, the fact that we're even existing. So I reopened my business in 2019. 7 years prior to that, I had opened it as a wireless recycling business, meaning that corporate-owned devices, cell phones, smartphones, we would collect those and we would make sure the data was wiped from those. Fast forward 7 years later, I reopened my company after going back to the corporate America. And the fact that we opened months before a global pandemic,
right,
and that we're still here like 2 years later lets you know that the type of business we're in was in the right place at the right time. Okay. Didn't mean it wasn't difficult at times to remain, open or exist, but for the most part, small, medium-sized businesses, even large businesses, were going back to work at home. Right. They had to continue the business. So all this connectivity was needed. People's laptops, internet connections, bandwidth needed to be upgraded. Hardware needed to be purchased. We deal in all of that. And so we were helping business stay mission critical online, including things like schools. Like I sold 500 laptops to a school in Huntsville, Alabama. Well, that's not really what I'm here to do, but the connectivity that they needed associated with those laptops is what I'm interested in.
Right.
And so when they went back to four walls, all these schools needed their internet upgraded because now you got 50, 100, 200, 300 laptops all on the internet at the same time, when prior to COVID, then everybody didn't have laptops. So those type of things have helped us. Right now, I'm in the middle of a church initiative. I've got 1,500 churches that are going to be upgrading their internet through us.
Wow.
And so what we're doing is we're helping them get their speeds together because everybody's streaming now. I know it seems like everybody should have been doing that before, right, but COVID ensured that churches needed to do that. And then also helping them connect remotely. So where you have staff before, they had a desk phone. Well, now they're working from home, but they don't want to use their personal phone. So we're hooking them up with voice over IP phone systems where everybody's got a profile, and when you're not working, you don't have to answer it. So it's been a good time. It's a crazy time. we're scaling up and trying to keep up with the business.
That's great, man. That's great. It's definitely good all the time to hear my brother's doing well. You know, a lot of people stepped out on their own. And as you said, you started at one time and you let it go, and then you're back to it, and now it's ultimately successful. And so those times that we sort of fall down don't always mean that we've failed. It just might not be time, or we might have learned something that we're going to need in a few minutes or in a few days or in a couple years, you know. So it's good, and I think that a lot of people need to look more at some of these missteps or some of these what we call failures as learning opportunities for the next thing, you know. And I definitely see it, because I remember when you started the company the first time, and I remember bringing in people's cell phones to you, and you know that was your thing. So I had no idea how it could have transitioned into something like this, and I'm not even sure you did, but I'm sure you're glad that it has, because this is the way it's going now. Now you can be independent and do your thing. That's great. Definitely great. Now, a lot of people might not know, especially if they don't know you from school or from the community or from wherever, that you have been involved in a lot of things. When I first met you in college, you were, you were a freshman when I first met you. But what I remembered when I think back is I remember you being heavy into athletics. I remember your years being the athletic vice president and things of that nature. And so I was confused because I didn't see you playing a lot of sports, but you were always involved. And I was like, who does this guy think he is, man? Why does he think he's coach of the year? You know what I'm saying? He doesn't play anything. But then after hearing stories of you playing before you came to college, and then seeing you, you know, do a little something while you were there, I started to get it. What I'm getting at is there are a lot of Black men in popular sports these days. Basketball and football specifically, we seem to be the majority. You know, and it's weird to me because there's still a lot of inequality in America as far as being a Black male, but it seems that that's someplace where we're allowed to shine. Okay. And I think back to some of the things that I've heard that people said, and I also went to the museum here in DC and read a lot of quotes from racist people that really kind of angered me. But you know, when people say we were, you know, 3/5 of a man, or that these are animals, or they're thoroughbreds, or, you know, things like that. And that's what they use to sort of say, okay, well, then you want them in sports. You want them to be there. How does it seem now, from a person like you who actually watches sports probably with a different eye than I would? How does it seem from the last maybe 20 or 30 years to now? Has any of that seemed to change, or does that still seem to be the way that things are going as far as when they're pulling us into especially football and basketball?
Well, I want to address something very quickly that you said at the beginning of your question. You said you saw me. You didn't use the word facilitating, but I got that part. You saw me facilitating a lot of sport and sporting events in school, and not playing them as much. Then you found out that I really played a lot in high school, right? Prior to getting there. I want to just make a very quick point. In the NFL, Patrick Mahomes signed one of the richest, up until Aaron Rodgers will sign, the richest contract an athlete has ever signed in the NFL.
Wow.
Do you know how much Roger Goodell makes a year?
How much is that?
$40 million a year.
Wow. Not his whole contract. $40 million a year.
$40 million annually.
So for when we were young, $40 million would have been a lot for his whole contract.
$40 million is a lot for a contract today.
Right. Okay, that's what I thought. But
for a multi-year contract, that's what he makes annually as the commissioner of the NFL. And you ask me, who do I want to be like? Did I want to be like Michael Vick, or do I want to be like Roger Goodell?
I feel you. That's a lot. That's a lot, definitely.
So for every multimillionaire that plays a professional sport, there's a billionaire who's paying him.
Wow. Okay.
I want to be the one writing the checks.
Gotcha. Point taken. Definitely.
So have I seen it change in the NFL and Major League? NFL and basketball for black men. I haven't seen much change. To be honest with you, in the last 24 hours, I made a post on my social media about Colin Kaepernick, and one of the things that I found myself going back and forth with some non-supporters, like you could call them, people of a certain profile,
right?
Was that they get hung up in saying that he said the NFL is like slavery. It's not what he said. He said the combine process is like slavery.
Right.
I've been to Charlottesville. I actually had my kids stand on the bricks where their ancestors were sold as slaves.
Right.
And I told them, now, can you imagine being naked? I mean, completely no clothes on, with shackles on your arms, right? And a bunch of white men walking around. I say white men because only white men were allowed to purchase slaves.
Right.
White men walking around, poking, prodding you, looking at, oh, yeah, this one's got good teeth. Oh, this one's got strong arms. So this one has, firm legs, right? If you've ever seen the combine process, when they get to the measurement part, it's the exact same thing. They're down to their underwear, holding their arms out. All of them are standing in one room. And then how many black owners are there in the NFL?
Not many.
None.
Wow, there's none? I thought there was at least one.
No.
There's no black owners. Wow.
No, zero black owners. Now there's one who's Middle Eastern, Rom.
Right.
In Jacksonville, Jacksonville, of Middle Eastern descent. But other than that, all the other ones and all the other ones have ever been are white owners. Okay. They're all at this combine. They're in the room. They're poking and prodding at naked black men. 78% of the athletes in the NFL are black. So mostly what you have up there are black men standing in their underwear while white men come and poke and prod. Oh, this one's got firm arms, or this one's got strong legs, or this one's got good teeth. I'm being a little bit,
right. I feel
but it is not much different than the depictions of the slave market. And what are those men called who are head of those franchises? Owners. So you are getting examined by your future owner, who's going to pay good money for your services. Now, it is not exactly the same because the money's coming from you. Some of that money's coming to you, right? As an independent contractor. But that being the case, you don't control the process at all. It is very physical. It is like a herd of cattle, that particular process. That's what Colin Kaepernick was talking about. He was talking about...
You're telling me that people are against Colin Kaepernick possibly without even knowing exactly what he's talking about.
They hate him so much because they've told themselves that he hates America. And he's never said that. Not once. You can't find one quote where Colin Kaepernick says he hates it. Well, he hates America because he took a knee and he disrespects our flag and disrespects our veterans and our police force.
Right.
That is what they've told themselves. Where in the very interview that he did, the first time that they interviewed him about what his platform was, he told them in a 15-minute interview, he's like, it's not about disrespecting the police or the military. He said, I have military in my family. He said, it's about protesting police violence against unarmed black men.
Right.
He told them that. He said that. So what they're saying is, so people who oppose him say he's lying.
Right. Well, I mean, I was told, and I read also, that he talked to veterans beforehand.
Yes, a guy named Nate Boyer, who was a former Green Beret
right.
and a former NFL player. It was his suggestion that he kneel. Because the first iteration was that he was sitting down.
Right.
That was the first iteration.
Right.
And Nate Boyer's like, yeah, that's a bad look. What we do when they bring dead bodies back from overseas to show respect to our fallen comrades is take a knee.
Wow.
And so, at the request of an actual Green Beret who had been through the NFL as a player, Colin Kaepernick took a knee.
It's amazing that instead of talking about his what he's protesting, we have built a whole new protest on him. So instead of saying, well, what is this guy trying to bring attention to? Because I think even when people do things wrong in society, when you're the media or anything, you usually say, well, what is the case? What is this about? You know, and police brutality on black men, unarmed black men. Oh no, we're not interested in that. I mean, that's not something we want to talk about. And it
B, here's I'm sorry to interject, but here I gotta make a piggyback on your point. Here's the crazy thing. He ended up being right. This was before George Floyd.
Right.
He was trying to tell us, this is a peaceful way for me to tell you that something is wrong with our policing system when it comes to black men. Right. I'm doing this peacefully. I'm not yelling. I'm not screaming. I'm not looting. I'm not rioting. I'm not stepping in front of your car. I'm not doing any of this. All I'm doing before the game is taking a moment of silence to say, we probably need to change this. That's what he did. That's in actuality, not in theory. In actuality, that's what he did. And we didn't listen. And a few years later, along comes George Floyd. Now come the protests in the streets. Now comes the variance on top of that had nothing to do with those rallies, right? But ended up in looting and rioting. And now people are scared. Oh my gosh, they're looting and they're rioting, you know? But Cap told y'all. He told you 2 years ago. And you made him the devil. We made racism so normalized in America that when you oppose it, it feels like you're actually opposing America.
Right. Yeah, I saw that as a comment, and it was so amazing. But when racism is the fiber of your quilt, then I mean that's what happens, and it's really bad because this is what I wanted to look at. I mean, I don't understand that one at all. I don't understand how that story got that far in that way. It seemed like that should have been able to be cleaned up very easily. There have been many people who have been misunderstood or mistaken, but it seems like Kaepernick will never be somebody who they want to do something behind, stand behind, or whatever. And there are so many people. Even there's some of us who are not getting behind it, you know, not supporting. And as a black male, I want the police to stop doing what they're doing.
He's been validated since then. The commissioner who I spoke about, Roger Goodell, apologized openly and said we were wrong. The suit that he had against the NFL, where people are like, well, why would you want to play for the NFL after you sued him? They settled out of court because they were wrong. They knew they colluded to keep him out of the league. If you didn't collude to keep out of the league and you have the deep pockets of all the owners in the NFL, why wouldn't you go to court to prove that, no, we did not collude together to keep him out of the league? Because they can't. They can't prove it. So we're going to pay.
That's not news. What you're saying right now is not coming out in the news. It's just like there was a principal when I worked in Nashville, one of the biggest and most popular principals, black principals in Nashville. And there was a rumor that he had stolen some money from games and all kind of stuff like that, and it was all over the news. And he mentored somebody who I was very attached to professionally, and he had to step down from his job and all kind of stuff. He had to take an assistant principal job, which was very humbling, you know, at the time. And I was just like, and I was at the school where he came to. I was happy to have him there, but not happy to have him like that, you know. And he got cleared. And I remember he said to me, hey, watch, I got cleared. And I said, oh, okay, great. And I saw his wife, and I said, you happy your husband got cleared? She said, my husband's cleared? I haven't seen it on the news.
Right.
That's true. Oh, my God. Never heard anything about it. Works for the district, does all kind of stuff now. And it's like, why do you, it's like you leave these people with the rumors so that they can continue to be held down. And it's a problem. And I think that it's no way to prove that that process that he spoke about being like slavery isn't like slavery if you can still hold a man down every time he tries to break out of this system. That's another part of slavery. I mean, that's exactly what's going on. So, I mean, I definitely like the fact that they have a movie now about him and his life. But it doesn't seem like anything is ever going to put him back in place and erase all of the foolishness, because there's not enough news or coverage to say this man was right. We should have paid attention, and that's the way it should be. I mean, this is what this show is more about, is to explain that there are a lot of things happening to positive Black men to demonize, and it doesn't seem fair. I don't even want to compare and say, well, this guy did this crime, this guy did this crime, and they got two different things. That's already a problem. But we're talking about people who did not commit any crimes.
I went down a profile. I took Colin Kaepernick's name and picture up, and I put this on my social media. 6'4", 230 pounds, two-time Western Athletic Conference Player of the Year in college. Went to a Super Bowl, threw for 300 yards, a touchdown, and one interception. Set the current NFL record for number of yards in a game, 181 yards. Current record holder of number of yards in the playoffs, 264. Has a passer rating of 88.9, which is greater than Dan Marino, John Elway, and Johnny Unitas. Has 60% complete passer rating. Has never beaten a woman. Has never raped a woman. Has never had a DUI. Has never had a felony. Has 7 humanitarian awards. And 1 leadership award from his teammates of the last team that he played for. Who am I talking about? Colin Kaepernick. And people will lie because they're so angry at him for holding people publicly accountable.
Wow.
For not providing liberty and justice for all, that they've lied about him and said, okay, we can't say that he was wrong because now he's right.
Right.
But he wasn't good enough.
And that's what I always heard.
That's
those
the
stats
new lie.
You just told me. I've never heard those stats, and I'm not a big sports person, so I didn't know.
But you know enough to know that's good.
Right? Oh yes. But
you know enough to know that, like, if you're a Chicago Bears fan, I need that. I'm a Bears fan.
Right.
I want that.
No question. I had no idea he was that good, because they made it seem like, oh, well, he's not in the league because he's not great, so we don't need him. We can leave him
72
alone.
touchdowns, 30 interceptions.
Wow, this story just gets worse and worse, man. That's amazing. Well, let's move to another one. And all of a sudden, this young man's name just slipped my mind, but I know you'll bring it back. The young man who had well, to put it lightly, I mean, had a breakdown on the court. What was his name? On the field? I'm sorry, the football field. Everybody's been talking about the guy who
Antonio Brown.
Yes, Antonio Brown. Now this is my problem. It seems that when one of us has an issue, the first thing we jump to, and I'm not even talking about people of other communities, I'm talking about our community. The first thing we jump to is the jokes. And we jump to them so hard that it becomes okay for everybody to joke about it. It almost becomes not okay if you're not joking about it. And then we joke about it so much so that when the truth comes out, the truth that would probably prick our hearts if we knew, we don't even care now, because the jokes have been so long and so consistent. And I want to know how we can cure this, because athletes are in the public eye more than anybody, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, their lives, it's almost like they signed them over. And we just know everything. We know way too much about their lives now. But what do you feel, what was the crux of what you got out of this Antonio Brown thing, of what actually went down with it?
Quick story, true story. I was at a Burger King. Young man was behind the counter. Manager came and told him, "You're fired." I don't know what it was for or what it was about. Told the young man, "You're fired." Young man was like, "I'm fired?" The guy was like, "Yes, you need to go home now." And he was like, "Okay." He takes off his Burger King shirt, takes off the hat, walks out the little door, walks past us because we're still standing in line waiting for orders. He was like, Hey, yo, Burger King sucks. Go to McDonald's, man. And he walked out. Antonio Brown, during the game, was told by the offensive coordinator, head coach Bruce Arians told me, you're not going back in the game, okay? We asked you to go back in the game earlier. You wouldn't do it. Well, he wouldn't because he said he was hurt. Said, okay, if you won't go back in the game, you're no longer a part of this team. Antonio Brown goes, I'm not part of the team. He's like, yeah, you are no longer the team. Right now, you need to leave. Antonio Brown takes off his jersey because that's his uniform. Right. So if I'm not a part of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, why am I wearing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers jersey? And on the way out, he goes, Tampa Bay sucks. Go Green Bay. He did the same thing that the guy did at Burger King. You fired the dude on the sidelines on national TV. People didn't hear it, but he fired him. So if he's no longer an employee instantly and he's told to leave, he was compliant. Isn't that what they like to say us first do? You didn't need to comply. He was compliant. He left. And if he left, why is he, and he's no longer a part of the organization, why does he need to wear their uniform? Here's your jersey. I'm out. That's what he did. Now, I'm not defending because Antonio Brown has a long history of marginal things on and off the field. Right. I will say this. We don't pay enough attention to black men when they're asking for help. Right. People forget he was almost killed on the field on national TV when Vontaze Burfict laid him out with a head-to-head hit. I have a picture that I've posted before of him laying flat out on his back, completely out, with his arms almost in the crucifix position. Right. I thought he was dead.
I saw the video. That was a massive hit.
I mean, and he's never been the same since. Prior to that, when you look at his incidents off the field, you really can't find much of anything. After that was all the crazy stuff that happened, that he engaged in, women, various things, and nobody looks at it and goes, the man suffered brain trauma to the point where he almost died in front of us, and nobody is offering him help. Just because he's a multimillionaire, they go, well, if you're a multimillionaire, recently, within the last 24 hours, Delonte West, who used to be an NBA player, played with the Celtics and stuff, had a good run at St. Joe's in college, had a healthy career, was LeBron's teammate in Cleveland. There were some rumors about Delonte and then LeBron's mother, right? Right. He was recently found on the street homeless, addicted to drugs. Mark Cuban, the owner of the Mavericks, randomly ran across it, or he heard that he was on the street. He used to play for the Dallas Mavericks at one point. Mark Cuban brought him to his house, his mansion, cleaned him up, got him the help and the counseling that he needed. And within the last 24 hours, this has been over time, but in the last 24 hours, Delonte West tried out for the Big Three, Ice Cube's Big Three thing, and he made one of the teams. Wow. Michael Beasley came out in the last 24 hours and said, I was making millions of dollars, but I was suffering mental illness, and I asked for help, and people said they wouldn't give it to me because I'm a multimillionaire. He said, I almost lost my life. Several times I tried to kill myself, and I asked for help. Even during games, I would ask even teammates, yo, I think I need some help. And people would not help me because I had money.
But I don't understand. Okay, so I need you to break that down to me. I don't understand not helping them because they have money. If they have money, then they can pay for the help. What is the problem?
They didn't believe them. You don't have problems because you have money.
Okay, I'm seeing your point now. Wow.
But didn't Biggie say more money, more problems?
Yes, he did. And
didn't Mariah Carey suffer a breakdown on TRL after she signed the $100 million contract?
Yes.
Didn't Martin Lawrence march out into the street and wave a gun saying they're trying to kill me? Yeah. After he signed his big deal with what was it, MTM or whoever it was? Right. The money made him crazy.
Well, this is a theory I have, and I can only call it a theory because I haven't proven it or tested it or anything like that. So I'm not saying this is law, but it seems that when it comes to sports, when it comes to the music industry, and maybe even just entertainment altogether, that scouts or people of large influence like to go to the ghettos and find stars. You can go to a local public school and you can see a kid playing football that's just outrageous, just amazing. Oh my goodness, this kid is amazing. Or you can go to a high school and find a kid playing baseball or basketball, and he's doing things that nobody else in his class or even in his district can do. He's amazing. You can go sit in the back of a black church and listen to somebody sing better than you've ever heard anybody sing in your life. And, it seems that the ones who have no skeletons in their closet, they sometimes make it. But the ones who have issues, oh, well, I just got a girl pregnant and I don't have any money. Okay, we'll take care of that. No problem. We got you. Just come on over here and do this. Oh, well, I like to smoke crack and this and other. No, don't worry about it. We'll take care of that. But people don't realize is if you have a small drug problem or a small alcoholic issue or anything like that, a small pill problem, giving you money now you have a big, and it doesn't make it better for you. Money doesn't solve any of those issues. It helps you be able to get more of it. I tell people all the time when they say, well, how could Michael Jackson do that to his face, mess up his nose like that? And I was like, well,
because he could afford it.
Nose. When you were my age, when we were Michael's age, as a young kid, we didn't like our nose. There was nothing we could do about it. We just didn't like it. When you don't like your nose and the price for a nose job is less than what you have in your pocket, boom, nose job. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
right.
And so I'm wondering, I've given many people different scenarios, but what can we do to save us from this? Because it seems like nobody's trying to educate these people that have issues when they get into leagues or into movies or into music. And we've seen it across all of them. Where's the love that will give the education? I've been battling with this for a long time, and I've been trying to get a team together to do this as well. But where is the love for that? And are there any people out there that you know of, since you know a lot more about sports and things like that, that are there to sort of shield these people from all of this harm?
Well, you can't shield anybody from the harm, but what you can do is prepare them for it. And I will say the NBA has done a great job over the last 20 years of their rookie symposium of bringing in experts. Once you've been drafted or you've gotten assigned to a team or you've been signed with a team, they do bring in experts. One of our friends, Eric Thomas, goes and talks to the rookie camp, every summer once after they've been drafted, and tells them, look, your circle, what you used to do in the hood, is not going to fly now because you're going to sign, you're going to make millions of dollars, and you're going to have millions of dollars to spend, and you won't have those millions of dollars again. They do financial counseling. There's a big group that comes here to Nashville, and I'm really not supposed to talk about it because it's supposed to be a secret, but I will say, they asked me one time to get them a gym because they wanted to play basketball. There's a bunch of NFL players. Okay. I didn't know who was coming. I knew a couple of them were going to be stars. So I got the gym for one of my guys. A shout out to Josh Henley. I will say that. It's Joshua Henley but all his friends he played in high school with. Well, the friends he played in high school with are guys you watch on Sundays right now that have big contracts. When I got to the gym and looked in the gym, there was $1 billion worth of athletes in there. That's not a euphemism. It was $1 billion worth of contracts. When I started adding up, I was like, but he plays for, and he plays for, and he signed for, and when I started adding up, and I was like, dude, I don't want to be responsible if somebody turns an ankle or blows out.
Right, exactly.
There's millions of dollars. Why didn't you tell me they were playing?
Exactly.
But there has been a renaissance of sorts, especially against the for the super mega stars like Mookie Betts, who's from Nashville, signed a $300 million contract with the Dodgers or whatever it was. He'll have generational money forever because the financial team now that's available to us, men of color, was not available to Antoine Walker when he made $90 million. Now you got to work at Starbucks, to make ends meet. Those things were not available to us, but now guys are going in with their own business. And I'll give credit to LeBron James. for saying, I don't trust these agents, I don't trust these lawyers. I'm bringing my cats from high school. Yeah, they may not know as much as these guys, but one thing they're not going to do is screw me in the back.
Right.
And we can all eat then. Like if I'm still getting money 20 years after I'm done playing in the league, we're all getting money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that model has proven itself out to be, and now the talent of his group around him has been sought after by others. So now they're not just LeBron's crew; they're worldwide entertainment. They are their own production house. They are there had to be some trust there because we were taken advantage of. I didn't grow up with money, right? So I didn't know how to manage money until I lost money.
Right.
I was like, well, I'm not going to do that anymore. And thank God I lost money when I was younger. So now I'm smarter with it now that I'm older, right? And I can regret that all I want. But, I mean, the fact of the matter is I'm not going to make those same mistakes. Right. Some of these guys will never get a chance to make the kind of money that they're making again. My son, I'll say this now, I'll be quiet. My son and I had a conversation yesterday. He said he's at the age now where he's being recruited, right? Play basketball. He's really good. Plays on the AAU circuit. He's getting attention. Wow. He talked about somebody signing for a young guy signed for $3 million, and he said, "Dad, that dude's set for life." I said, "Set for life?" So how old is he? And he's like 20 or whatever he said it was. I said, "All right, son, let me tell you something. Take 40% out for capital gains tax. Take 10% out for your lawyer, 5% out for your agent. Where you at?"
45%. Ooh.
You're at like 1.3 million. I said, "Okay, have you bought a house yet? Have you bought a car yet?" I said, "Let's do those things." I said, "We're not even talking about any other stuff. I'm talking about a house and a car. Did you buy a house for your mama yet?" Because everybody says, "I'm gonna buy a house for my mama." Right? We broke it down to the point where I said, now, how far is he from retirement? What is that in income per year to retirement? We came up with $23,000.
If that.
I said, no shade to people who make $23,000.
Right.
But you said this dude was set for the rest of his life. And then I blew his mind. I said, "Son, I'm gonna tell you something. I don't make a whole lot of money, but I've generated over $1 million in the last 10 years. He's like, "What? Oh my goodness, Dad, you're a millionaire." I said, "No, that's not what I said. No. I said I generated over $1 million in salary over the last 10 years. And I said, "We don't live in a mansion or whatever." He's like, "Oh my goodness, $3 million is not a lot of money." I said, "Exactly." And I said, so when people talk about black male athletes, like, "Oh my goodness, they don't have anything to worry about. I didn't make that." Yeah, but you drive a backhoe trailer making $65,000, $70,000 a year. You've done it for the last 20 years. His contract ends in 3 years, and he's not going to get re-signed because he tore his knee.
Right.
But you're mad at him because he made all his money on the front end, and when you even it out, you actually end up making more money.
Right. Well, it's the same thing as when I see, let's say I'm watching a basketball game, and Team A versus Team B. At halftime, Team A is up 60 points. Well, if Team A ends up losing, people act like Team A is not good. But they scored 60 points. These guys lost by 2 points. These teams both scored the same amount of points. One just scored it at the end in the prime time of the game and let you see them come back, a comeback story. But they were doing the same thing to each other at different parts of the game. They're both. I'm not saying that the loser isn't worse than the winner. I'm saying we can't look at when you get yours and say this is better or this is worse.
Yes.
You got to be able to say, look, just get yours and do what you're supposed to do with it so you can keep it. You don't want to be that person who loses out in the end because I got it early and I threw it all away, or it wasn't the deal that I thought it was. A lot of people, I think a lot of our community is getting smarter now. A lot of the black males that are out there doing their thing are looking for people to say, "Hey, how should I spend my money?" I listen to Shaquille O'Neal talk about his stories all the time and how he did his money. And I like the fact that these guys are now testifying about what they did because it's letting other people know, look, do this. This is crazy.
He's a monster when it comes to money, man.
Yeah,
Shaq is a businessman.
Oh,
He has a natural knack, and he went back to school for it too. So
yeah.
I mean, you know, he made a lot of money, and the truth of the matter is, man, he made most of his money outside. Just like with Michael Jordan, people think, oh, greatest basketball player of all time, made most of his money. Do you realize that his net worth is now over $1 billion? That he only made like 130 million over his career.
Right, exactly. But
he made 10 times more than what he made in the NBA.
Oh, no doubt. The good thing about Shaq, though, is that he did things to give back, and so he made sure he got with Walmart and stuff and made sneakers that could be affordable, stuff like that. And no hate on Jordan and all his brands and everything. I mean, Jordans are still selling like hotcakes everywhere.
Well, Jordan's doing stuff now.
Yeah,
he's late to the game. But he's donating out millions of dollars to social justice.
Right.
You know, he's trying to build up the equality thing. He started a NASCAR team and has the first ever full-time black NASCAR driver, Bubba Wallace.
Wow.
So Bubba Wallace is on Team 23, and Jordan built that for him. And that's millions of dollars, right? And he brought him.
But why isn't this stuff news, Carlin? Why isn't the stuff that black men are doing for the community news? Why do we not know about this? Do we have to get our own? I mean, I thought BET was Black Entertainment Television, but it's not. Do we need BNN? I mean, what do we need to let people know? Because the things that they're saying about us, we don't contribute to the community. When we make money, it's all about us. We don't do anything else. We don't take care of our kids. We don't do this. We don't do that. And we're doing it every day. Not only are we doing it, we're doing it in a rate that is comparable to everybody else. So what is it that's keeping us just pushed back?
It's the hate. It's the hate. Because when LeBron James opened Dream Academy or whatever it was in Akron, Ohio, he simultaneously paid for 41 kids for their 4-year college education. Mm-hmm. When he did it, President Trump called him dumb. He said, "You're." He's like, he's dumber than Don Lemon, and I thought that was hard to do.
I remember that.
So you realize that 71 million people, 72 million people voted for Donald Trump, and so 72 million people, for lack of a better perspective, think LeBron James is dumb. They think that he's a bum because he played the race card or whatever they say that he did, or whatever Trump told them to say that he did. Right. Here, this man built a school, not just built a school, paid for the tuition for college education, not just for black kids, but for inner city kids.
Right.
Bought bicycles so they could get back and forth to school. Provided a GED program for their parents if their parents didn't have their GED or high school diploma. And also, too, help them with job placement out of his own pocket. It's the hate that keeps us from being able to see all the good things that are doing. Go back to Colin Kaepernick. You know, that Donald Trump has never donated to charity. And I don't want to make this about him, but I mean, there's a component to this that's highly political, and that's part of the issue is we don't know how to navigate politics either. That's black men. But do you know that Colin Kaepernick gives an average of $75,000 a month to charities?
Wow.
Donald Trump has never given a dime. Trump Industries, Trump out, whatever, his companies have never given a dime to charity. But his supporters and people who think like him hate Colin Kaepernick.
Right.
Because they say he hates America. This guy's giving away backpacks full of school supplies. This guy's donating to food banks in underprivileged areas. This guy's donating to for after school tutors.
That's a mess. That's a mess.
But you don't hear about that because of the hate. We don't know how to navigate politics, right? And so that's one of the reasons why I got political. A few years back, I ran for mayor of Nashville. I mean, I just, it was one of those things where I said, we've got to understand how to navigate politics so that our story can be told properly. We can be profiled in the right way. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, and for you to run for mayor of Nashville, that was amazing in its own, because I don't know anybody else who ran for mayor. So I was like, okay.
Yes, you do. You know, oh goodness, Pucky's brother-in-law, Keith Goodwin.
Keith Goodman ran for mayor?
Keith Goodman ran for mayor of Philadelphia.
Wow. Well, then now I have two people I know. But even that, I don't know Keith Goodman the way I know you. I mean, I know him, and that's big. I mean, and I actually lived in Nashville around you. So to see you go from, I mean, you've done a lot of incredible things in Nashville. You owned a sports team. You did a lot of stuff. And so you're somebody who I don't think there's anything you could do in Nashville now that somebody would be shocked. They're going to say Carlin has his own company. He's driven NASCAR. He had a sports team, and they did good. They were great. He's run for mayor. I mean, what else? There's nothing else. What are you going to do? There's nothing you're going to do that's going to shock people. You know, so it's you're that guy. You're actually the mayor of Nashville. I mean, people would be like, okay, that's the guy. He's a popular dude down here, and you're not even from there. So you know, it's funny how you can come in and just sort of just be the guy, and it's great. It's great to see that because we see you as a positive person. We don't have a lot of negative press on you. You're one of the guys who I think if somebody came there and they said, "Oh well, Carlin is a man of color," they'd be like, "Oh, he's one of the good ones." You know, not knowing that there are a bunch of good ones. There are a bunch of people, of Black men doing their thing, raising their kids, loving their wives, going to school, doing things for the community, you know, getting into politics, doing all of these things, but it's not heard of. And I think that we have to definitely find a way to celebrate our men and to put us out there as people who are doing what we're supposed to do, because the rumors are really killing us. I feel like the influence on the young guys is worse because when I'm a teacher, you know, I teach high school young men. When I hear people talking about, and I hear Black, white, every color saying, oh, you know, part of the problem in society today is that there's no Black fathers in the homes. Okay, so some of these guys might not have their father around, but a lot of them do. But when you hear that Black people don't do that, then what makes you want to do that? If you're Black, you know, you're thinking, well, if I have a choice, I don't really have to do that. Nobody expects me to do that. These kids are hearing, oh, we're not good at math. So when they come to my class, this kid told me the other day, man, Mr. Watts, math just ain't me. Huh? What does that mean? Where did you get that from? It's not supposed to be you. It's supposed to be something that you learn and you use to do things. I mean, it's insane that everything that has been said is taken very literally by our young people. And they pull it in now. So that's what they're going to be.
Well, you asked a question at the beginning of that says, what do we do? What can we do to combat that? And then you also said before that, what's left for Carlin Alford to do that would shock people? Let me tell you this. What's the next level? What's the next movement? Exactly what you're doing right here. Media. This is my second show of today where I've been on as a guest. Okay. Right? And I've been on probably 5 or 6 shows in the last, week and a half. Okay. We need to start controlling the narrative with positive media about Black men. So for some of the ones, maybe not 1-to-1 ratio, for the ones that come in and say, Mr. Watts, math ain't me, right? There's my son who in 8th grade is taking high school algebra right now, and he's Black, last I checked, right? Okay. There is a kid named James Malone who went to FH Jenkins, who is ranked in the top 1% in math scores in standardized testing. Top 1%. He's Black. You know what I mean?
I was that kid in high school as well, so that's great. That's great.
Right. So we need to be able to control the narrative to put those positive images out there to say that not only are we making progress, we're making progress in spite of the narrative. Now we got work to do. We got to reach the kid that says math ain't for me. We got to come up with programs. We got to be able to implement those programs. We got to be able to sustain those programs over a certain amount of time in order to see the results that we need. But that being said, we need to be able to combat that with the stories we tell, so that not just our enemies, and I'm gonna say it like that, not just our enemies, but our camp understands that we're out there doing big things. You mean that? Like For instance, you talk about sports. You talk about sports of black men. Do you know that the only black owner in Major League Soccer in the United States, the Major League Soccer League, is here in Nashville?
Wow.
He owns Nashville Soccer Club. They're building the biggest soccer-only stadium in America, 30,000 seats out by the fairground. The brother, it's a black dude.
Wow.
Did you know that the first and only president of a NASCAR track that's black in America is here in Nashville, at Nashville Super Speedway? Eric Moses. Right. Yeah, I mean, not only I've met him, I've done business with him. Right? Okay, so I'm in the heart of the South, where sometimes colored people is colored. You know what I'm saying? Right? So, but for whatever reasons, we have progressive, and we're making these strides, these historic landmarks, and the story is not being told in a broad enough fashion for people to go, ooh, they're coming.
Right.
Oh my goodness, they're coming. Black superintendent, black male superintendent, you know what I mean? Black fire chief here in Nashville. Chief Commissioner Swan, one of my friends. You know what I'm saying? Black police chief now. After years and years of racism, Steve Anderson in that position. Now, I called his name, right? Now we got to think about it.
That's
right. We're knocking them down. All we need now is a black mayor.
Well, I mean, with that, it's coming. It's definitely coming. And I mean, I just want to know and feel safe with the fact that as these people get into power, that they're community oriented, and that they continue to push for the narrative that we have. And I don't think that our narrative is bad. We're not looking to get back at anybody. We're just looking to equal the playing field. We just want to be able to live and not just survive. I mean, there's so many things that we do that people love. People love our music. People love us playing sports. They love our entertainment, and they love our food. I mean, so why not just love us? What better way to have all that stuff than to treat us fairly? You know what I'm saying? So I don't understand, but you're right. The media is the best way to go, and I think that if we could get shows out there, if we could start to talk more and get out there and let people know what's going on in the community, people will start to see it. I had a class at TSU with my professor who he passed away a couple years ago. I just found out, but he did not let people sit in his class and be ignorant about what was going on with race relations. And that wasn't part of our class. We're education classes, but when somebody would say something about the education gap, he would say, "There's no gap." And people are like, "No, there's a gap with minority kids." He's like, "No, if you didn't give minority kids the same things you gave white kids, there's no gap. You can't compare them. They don't compare." And I was like, and it would shut the class down, and people would argue. And and TSU at the time, because TSU is a state school, there were people of all colors and creeds.
Right.
So it was a lot to educate some people on things they didn't know about the urban side and what they have no idea about, and you're just repeating the things that you've heard because this is what you were taught, and that's fair. But when you start to see it and you start to experience it, then you can learn, and that's what I want to see happen. So I'm really appreciative that you came on today, man. I knew that I could get a lot of information, even though you have a wealth of information of other things. I knew the sports side would really come out because, I mean, I'm not a sports guy, but I know you definitely are. But we're definitely going to have you back, man. And maybe by the next time you'll be in office or something like that. But we'll see what happens. But definitely, thanks for coming out, Carlin. Please let everybody know how they can get in touch with Alfco Wireless if they need your assistance.
Absolutely. If you need to get connected and stay connected to the cloud or the internet, you're a small, medium, or large business, reach directly out to me, to my email address. I give it out all the time. Carlin, Carlin, at alfcowireless.com. ALFCO wireless.com. Or you can call me direct, 615-715-0662. We'll get you connected and we'll keep you connected.
All right. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all go ahead and get on that. Thank you so much once again, man. And we will definitely talk to you soon. All right.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
All right. As you can tell from the big smile, I had a great time talking to my friend Carlin Alford. Just want to let you all know that we'd love for you to subscribe and like our channel. We're trying to get this message out and show everybody how positive Black men are, and that everything you hear is not exactly how it is. So check us out, subscribe, like, share with your friends, and watch the show. You know, if you want to be a fan of the show, that's great. We'd love to have you. If you have positive Black men of color that you would love to see on the show, send us some information. Everything will be right there on the channel, and you can get in touch with me, okay? Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your week, and take care, all right?